Good morning, students. Welcome to online class, Standard 8, Subject Physics. I am Amos Michael, teaching physics in Mount Zion Matriculation Higher Secondary School, Pudukottai. So, what are the learning objectives of this presentation? So, this is a continuation of the previous class. So, if you have not watched the videos, please go and see the videos in the YouTube channel. So, what do you mean by refractive index? Then we will learn about curved or spherical mirrors. So, another name for curved mirrors is spherical mirror. Next, we will learn about refraction through a prism. And finally, we are going to discuss about the terms of spherical mirrors. Light energy. So, what is a refractive index? It is the ratio of sine of angle of incidence to the sine of angle of refraction is called the refractive index of the second medium with respect to the first medium, and we know that it is represented by the symbol mu, and mu is equal to sine I by sine r. Here I represents the angle of incidence and the letter r represents angle of refraction. So this law is also known as Snell's law. So another formula for refractive index mu is equal to c by v, where c is the speed of light in vacuum and v is the speed of light in medium. So look at this table. So this table gives the refractive index for different medium. So these are the substances or medium, and the corresponding refractive index values are given in the next column. So we know that air is a rarer medium, whereas water is a denser medium when compared to air. Similarly, kerosene is a denser medium when compared to air and water. So, refractive index is a number and it is a unitless quantity. Since it is a ratio, it has no unit at all. So, as we go from rarer medium to denser medium, correspondingly, the refractive index values are also increasing from a lower value to higher value. So this one is a rarer medium air, diamond is a denser medium. So for air the refractive index is 1.0003 and for diamond it is 2.42. And here where a question arises, will a denser medium have a larger or smaller index of refraction? We know that a denser medium provides more matter from which the light can scatter. So as the denser medium possesses more matter, it doesn't allow the light to pass through quick. So the light will travel more slowly in a denser medium. We already know that. A slower speed means a higher index of refraction. From the previous formula, that is mu equal to c by v, we know that where c is a constant, so this velocity to the medium is in the denominator side. So as the speed decreases and corresponding the refractive index increases. Refraction of light through a glass slab. A glass slab is a rectangular block of glass and it is bounded by two parallel glass air boundaries. Here there are two boundaries. This one is the air medium and whereas this one is a glass slab, different medium, and it is denser when compared to this air medium. So we have one more boundary, that is glass air boundary. When a ray of light enters a slab, it suffers refraction twice at the boundary. So when the incident ray falls on the surface of the glass, it deviates towards the normal. We know that from the rule of refraction, when a ray of beam of light is coming from rarer medium to denser medium, it will bend towards the normal. Normal is nothing but imaginary perpendicular line drawn at the point of incidence, and this I1 is the angle of angle of incidence, and it is calculated with respect to this normal line. Here r is the angle of refraction and it is also measured with respect to this normal line. Here once again this angle of incidence of the refracted ray, and this E is the angle of emergent ray. Okay, the ray that finally comes out of the glass slab after suffering refraction twice is known as emergent ray. Now what is meant by emergent ray? This one is the emergent ray. If the light is not scattered, that means if it is not deviated from its linear path, and it would have traveled in this straight line. Okay, so it can be seen in the image that the emergent ray is shifted parallel to the incident ray by some distance, and this distance is known as lateral displacement. So refraction through prism. What is a prism? Prism is basically an object which is made up of a transparent material such as glass or plastic, and the base of the prism is the equilateral triangle, and the picture you are seeing is from the top view. This is from the top you are seeing. So the picture is the top view of the prism is shown in this picture. Okay, and these two sides will be rectangular in shape. So the faces of the prism, it has a 3 faces, 1, 2 and 3. The base of the prism is an equilateral triangle. This one is an equilateral triangle. You know that very well. Equilateral means all the sides of the triangle will be same, and the faces of the prism are rectangular in shape, and the angle between the two plane surfaces is called angle of prism. This one, that is this one and this one and this one, is called the angle of the prism. When a prism refracts sunlight, it splits the sunlight, that is the white light, into 7 colors called spectrum. Look at this. This white line represents the sunlight, that is the white light, and when the beam of white light, that is sunlight, is allowed to pass through the prism, after refraction it is split up into 7 colors, and this is called spectrum. Namely, the spectrum consists of different colors, that is from violet to red. V stands for violet, I stands for indigo, B stands for blue, G stands for green, Y stands for yellow, O stands for orange, and R stands for red. And this phenomenon of splitting of white light into 7 colors is known as dispersion. So what you are seeing in this picture is nothing but dispersion. Curved or spherical mirrors. The curved or spherical mirrors are basically of 2 types. One is concave and another one is convex mirror. What is a concave mirror? A curved mirror or a spherical mirror is a mirror whose reflecting surface is a part of the hollow sphere of glass. For example, you take the tennis ball. So inside the tennis ball you will have nothing. So it is hollow inside. So the inside surface of a hollow sphere is bent in or curved. So look at this surface. This one is the reflective surface, that is blue color surface is the reflecting surface, and this one other side is hard surface, and it is coated with silver coating. Okay, so light cannot pass through this mirror and it will be reflected by this surface, that is the bent in or concave surface. But the outside surface of a hollow sphere of a glass is bulging out or convex, this one, whereas similarly outside surface, this one is bulging out, or also called a convex mirror, and here this one is the reflecting surface. So in this side you will have mercury coating. So the another name for concave mirror is converging mirror. So a concave surface means, already I told you, it's a bent in. A concave mirror is a spherical mirror in which the reflection of light takes place at the concave surface, that is this surface. The reflection takes place from this concave surface. The back side of the mirror has a silver coating which is protected by a layer of red paint, and the back side of the concave mirror is marked by short lines, and it represents the back side of the mirror, and light cannot pass through this mirror and it will reflected, and the ray of light will be reflected by the concave surface, that is by the bent in surface, this surface. What do you mean by a convex or diverging mirror? Convex means bulging out surface. Look at this surface, it's a bulging out. A convex mirror is that a spherical mirror in which the reflection of light takes place at the convex surface. So this one is the convex surface from which the light reflection of light will takes place. Okay, that is convex means bulging out, concave means bent in. Look at this picture, it's nothing but a shining steel spoon represents both the concave and convex mirror. The front side of the spoon is bent inward, that is this one. So the front side represents the concave mirror, whereas the back side of the spoon is bulging outward and it represents the convex of the convex mirror. So the spoon, a shining steel spoon, is the best example to demonstrate both the concave and convex mirrors. Now we are going to see the terms related to spherical mirrors. See, this is nothing but a concave mirror. This is concave mirror and this one is a convex mirror. So what is a pole? The geometrical center of a spherical mirror is called a pole, that is this part. This is your spherical mirror, that is the convex mirror, and this one is a concave mirror, and this part, from this part to this part, is known as aperture. Okay, so the geometrical center of the spherical mirror, that is the concave mirror or convex mirror, is known as pole, that is the point is represented by the letter P. Center of curvature, the center of the sphere of which the spherical mirror is a part. So this is the center of the sphere of which the spherical mirror is a part. You imagine this is a hollow sphere and we have considered the convex mirror will be a part of the hollow sphere. Radius of curvature, the radius of a hollow sphere of which the mirror is a part is known as radius of curvature, or simply we can call it as the radius of the sphere is known as radius of curvature, that is the distance from the center to the pole is known as radius of curvature, simply the radius of the sphere. What do you mean by principal focus and focal length? So here it is nothing but a concave mirror. This one is the concave mirror and this one is a convex mirror. So when a beam of light coming parallel to the principal axis, this one is called a principal axis, that is the point passing through the center of curvature and the pole is known as principal axis. So the beam of light passing parallel to the principal axis, so they will be focused at a point on the principal axis after reflection. So this point is known as focus. Since it lies on the principal axis, it is also called as principal focus. So a parallel rays are reflected by the concave surface. So after reflection, they are converging to a point on the principal axis, and this point is known as focus or principal focus. And the image will be formed at this point, that is at the principal focus. The distance between F and P is known as focal length. And you should know that in the case of concave mirror, the focal length lies in front of the mirror, whereas in the case of convex mirror, the focal length will lie behind the mirror. Here also the focal length is the distance between the pole and focus, whereas in the case of convex mirror, the focal length lies behind the convex mirror. So it take the next example, that is convex mirror. So when a beam of light coming parallel to this principal axis, when it is reflected and the beam of light appears to diverge from the point F, that is the principal focus. So but in reality no light will reaches the back side of the mirror, This is our wrong perception. We see, if you see a image on the convex mirror, and the light will appear to diverge from a point, and this point is known as focus. Uses of concave mirrors. Concave mirrors are used as a saving mirror, and is used in headlights of motor vehicles since it converges the light at different distances. It is used in headlights of motor vehicles, can be used as a dentist mirror, and it is used in astronomical telescope and in solar furnace. What are the uses of convex mirror? So convex mirror are used in vehicles as a rear view mirror and magnifying mirror, mountain mirror, and anti-theft mirror. That's all, my students. I hope you understand the concepts clear. We will see in the next class. Thank you.